Welcome to the show, everybody. This is the Farzetta Show presented by MyBookie, MyBookie.ag. My name is Mark Farzetta. It's great to have you along for the ride. Philadelphia 76ers take VJ Edgecombe in the NBA draft last night with the third overall pick. No movement otherwise for the 76ers with that pick. No trading back, trading up. Not that we expected that. And a lot of jokes made about Utah at the expense of Ace Bailey. We'll get into that conversation. And the Philadelphia Phillies have not scored a run in 19 straight innings. That's fun. They get shut out now in back-to-back games against the Houston Astros. I did a whole little riff last night on the idea that this Phillies team really gives us trust issues in Philadelphia. And we've really talked about that for a few years now, trust issues in Philadelphia. I said, they win the series against the Mets, and, I still had them the same. They didn't really move the needle or not as far as, this team's going to win a World Series now. Yeah, move them the needle a little bit. And maybe they will win this division. All right. But what the Phillies are going through right now is, and having seen them go through it in the playoffs, this is exactly why we have trust issues with the Phillies. You'll be riding a high 1 minute with your baseball team, and then all of a sudden down in the dumps with this baseball team. And right now is one of those moments where you look around and you're like, oh my God, I'm in the dump. This is wonderful. Zach Wheeler is the latest pitcher to fall victim to the Phillies' inadequate bats, to put it kindly. Alec Boehm, Nick Castellanos, JT Realmuto, all in the offer last night in the middle of the order. That doesn't help anybody. Also with 5 strikeouts. The 8th inning, we'll get into all that is to be said about that 8th inning that happened last night. Bases loaded, 1-out situation. Nothing. We'll get into that. That's a fun time. That's a good time. And this is where Rob Thompson is the most aggravating. And it's really got nothing to do with anything that he puts out there on the baseball diamond. It's got everything to do with, this team will be fine. I get if you're in that Phillies clubhouse, you love that kind of guy. You're probably, no pun intended, going to bat for that guy. And in this situation, actually having a successful at bat. But he's just even keel all the time. And that is so not Philadelphia. That's not really how we tick in this city. So we got a lot to get into when it comes to the Sixers and when it comes to your Philadelphia Phillies. So let's get into the Sixers. I have nothing against VJ Edgecombe other than I want him to be a better basketball player. The backstory and work ethic and actually coming in for a workout, all those things are great things, and they're all things that I wish Ace Bailey did. And I wish Ace Bailey was here. And I know a lot of people had so much fun last night making fun of Utah. And I flew over I flew over Utah once. It looked nice. I got nothing against it. But here's what is the bigger story other than people's little Utah jokes they want to make. Danny Ainge thought it was a good idea to take Ace Bailey. That's where we're at. You go to Utah. Yeah. Danny Ainge was looking around being like, everyone else, you little pansy asses, you didn't want to draft this guy? You didn't think you could handle him? You thought it was too much drama? Danny Ainge. Boom. Just been Anged. That's the way this feels right now. Is there a funny aspect? I'm sure he doesn't want to go to Utah. He wanted to go to an East Coast team, apparently. That's what his camp had been saying. And his camp had coached him throughout this entire process. And I know everyone just likes to jump to that conclusion. Oh, he's getting bad advice and all that stuff. I don't know what's on this guy and what's not on this guy. But I would go ahead and assume that Utah wasn't tops on his list when it came to playing in his NBA career. I don't know what that conversation is going to be like when him and Danny Ainge sit across from each other. Welcome to Utah. Go play your ass off. Something like that. Finding a way to make sure you get the absolute best and to make sure you get the full potential out of Ace Bailey. And we're going to watch it happen, and it's going to be great. It's going to be nice. And for them, his career is going to be great. It's going to be nice. And I think we're going to be here with VJ Edgecombe, who's going to be right around the same type of player that he was at Baylor. And that's what you talk about when you talk about a high floor and a low ceiling. I like VJ Edgecombe's game. Ball handling he's got to work on. Certainly, the thing for me is shot selection. That part of his offensive game is going to have to click. That's going to have to certainly take a giant leap forward. But there's a lot about his game that I really like. I love everything about his backstory and already playing for Team Bahamas and already going out there and showing you the work ethic by how he attacks the defensive end of the basketball court, the defensive side of the basketball game that he has. Like, everything there is great. But you have two young guards already in Tyrese Maxey and Jared McCain. You're adding him into the fold, and he's not a point guard. If you were going to add a guard, I would like somebody who was a point guard. Now, obviously, Dylan Harper wasn't going to be available. But the Sixers decided to take somebody that they knew was going to work, that they know is going to work, and they know he can help them right now. Right now, he can come in and help. There's no development plan when it comes to that offensive game. I mean, I'm sure there is for down the line, but right now, he is an NBA-ready defender. And the thought that kept on bumping around in my big old head was the fact that Brian Windhorst called out last week that Ace Bailey won't go to a team whose GM is in danger, essentially. He's only going to go to a team whose GM is safe, feels very safe in their job. Well, obviously, we can all get together on this. This is not Daryl Morey. He shouldn't feel safe in his job. But he took the safe pick. And if he's not safe, he had to take someone safe. And VJ Edgecombe's safe. He's going to work his ass off. He's going to do everything in his power to make sure you get the most out of his potential. And there's comparisons out there with the ceiling of like an Anthony Edwards. And there's a kind of a middling ground where you hope you can get someone like Victor Oladipo on the squad. And if that's what he turns into, great. If he's able to develop his offensive game that much, then all right, fantastic. Please prove me wrong. I'd love to be proven wrong. But as I've been saying all along, if you take someone that is more of a ready now, plug-and-play NBA player, like I believe VJ Edgecombe is, then you're still looking at this starting five, including VJ Edgecombe. You're still looking at these guys as if they're going to help Joel Embiid and Paul George win and not help turn the page for the future. By getting someone who is pretty close to his ceiling already, which is not just my opinion, many others' opinion, when it comes to a guy coming into the league, this NBA ready, you're saying, I could still win with Joel Embiid and Paul George, and this is a guy that's going to help and all that. It shows to me the Sixers are still very much tied, other than the finances, to winning with Joel Embiid and Paul George. You might say, okay, well, I know the counter argument to this is, well, what else is their plan? They're not going to get rid of Embiid. They're not going to get rid of Paul George. Yeah, you're right. They're not going to get rid of them. They're going to get rid of themselves. I don't see them playing. Not anything significant. Daryl Morey did give an update last night on Joel Embiid, saying everything progressing nice, should be ready when the team's ready to get underway for training camp and the season and all that stuff. Okay, great. Wonderful. And even if the knee has had fairy dust sprinkled upon it and it's magically healed, what's next? That's how it feels. You want to talk about trust issues, and this is where the Sixers and the Phillies are intertwined. You want to talk about trust issues? Yeah. I don't trust the 76ers in general. I don't trust that Joel Embiid can stay healthy. Love the player, hate the health aspect of the game. This year for the 76ers, I need to see that transition. And if there's one thing that makes me look at the VJ Edgecombe thing, acquisition, pick, and go, all right, well, maybe this is the transition. Okay, a lot of guards. Just saw some pretty damn good guard play in the NBA Finals. They need to transition to that as soon as humanly possible. And you can do that with a great start already in Tyrese Maxey. You can do that with a good start already in Jared McCain, hoping he also stays healthy and injuries aren't a trend for him in his NBA career. And then you bring in VJ Edgecombe, who, yes, will be pretty damn good this year. But how do you transition away from the center-dominated basketball game with your offense? I know the center-dominated attention when it comes to this team, and rightfully so. You're talking about an MVP in Joel Embiid. How do you transition away from that for two reasons? One, I just don't think he can stay healthy. And two, to help keep him healthy for the postseason. So in the event, first make the postseason. So in the event you make the postseason, Joel Embiid is as fresh as possible. The Sixers are basically showing you right now that they're still Joel Embiid-centric. And with Daryl Morey not feeling safe in his job, that's his best bet, unfortunately. And would you bet on Joel Embiid right now? Would you bet on Paul George right now? Because I don't know too many people in the city of Philadelphia that would bet on either of those guys. And right now, Daryl Morey feels like he has to bet on those guys. Because if he did select someone like Ace Bailey, and all the red flags were out there about how he didn't want to be here, and then Ace Bailey goes out there and, it takes time to progress, and there's headaches along the way, and there's questions about his work ethic. Daryl Morey looked at Ace Bailey and went, I'm not betting on that guy. I would have bet on this VJ Edgecombe guy I know that's at least going to work his ass off for me. That'll never be a question. And he's going to bet on that guy to come in and help this core unit still try to win an NBA title. Don't see it. Not betting on it. But he took the safe pick. A lot of things I like about VJ Edgecombe. The one thing I don't like is that he's not Ace Bailey, who's a guy that I really think a lot of people should feel vindicated when you still wanted to take Ace Bailey. You acknowledged the red flags. I wanted to take him. And Danny Ainge still thinks it's a good idea to take Ace Bailey. Good times. Good times. As for Daryl Morey, here he is last night talking about making the pick.
We're super excited about VJ, what he can bring to the team. Brings a dynamic athlete, potential all-star, two-way player. Really helped his team. He's got all these winning qualities that we think really fit. Great teammate. His story and what he's done to get to this point is really unbelievable. And we think he's on a great trajectory to take where he's come from and continue to improve through Baylor all the way through a very long and very promising NBA career. And we're excited it's here at the 76ers.
What you got is the examples I've rolled out before are you got the choir boy here over the badass. You don't got to worry about him showing up late to class or anything like that. You got a guy that interviewed in the suit and tie versus the guy that showed up in a T-shirt and jeans. It was just like, the guy that actually didn't even show up. But if he did, he would be in a T-shirt and jeans, and that'd be Ace Bailey. Last year, I remember I felt something very similar, and I was pleasantly surprised by the game of Jared McCain. And here's the other thing. So were the Sixers. Like Dalton Connect last year. I was more last year into the idea of a plug-and-play type player. Now, you were drafting much later in the draft, but when you draft at 3, you don't want to just take somebody that is going to be that good interview. You want to take somebody that's going to be a game changer. And essentially what you got, I believe, in the 3rd overall pick is a role player and a guy who's great potential in the NBA. Really is probably going to be a role player. Now, I mentioned the name Anthony Edwards. That's the Fish-A-Wish best case scenario. The more realistic is Victor Oladipo, but he was still pretty damn good. You're talking about a guy that was runner-up in Rookie of the Year to Michael Carter-Williams, to go back to that. And now you have a guy that's going to come in, and the way I look at him is he's going to be a shorter Matisse Thybulle with more of a knack for attacking the rim. That's what I think he's going to become. I'd love to see him become a good three-point shooter at the NBA level. That seems like it might take some time. But when you take a number 3, when you have a pick in the top 3, you have a pick in even the top 5, really top 3, you want to know that you're getting somebody in here that is going to help you win immediately in a pretty major way. And it's either going to be right now help you win, or at least somebody that will keep you close to the top of the standings in the Eastern Conference within a year or two. And that, to me, describes more so what Ace Bailey can be. Daryl Morey talked about potential of being an all-star. I think Ace Bailey is absolutely going to be an all-star. I think he's going to be a perennial all-star. Forget about just all-star potential. He's got that in him. I don't know how you pass up on that. And better yet, I don't know how you pass up on that and then look and go, oh, damn it, Danny took him. Duh! So I don't get it. There's a lot I like about him. The thing I don't like about him is that he's not Ace Bailey. And there's good parts of that. There's good parts of that. And the part is that he's going to show up on time. He's going to work his ass off. Here he is after getting drafted by the Sixers.
That would mean a lot. I mean, it's been a minute since they won.
Excuse me. This is him talking about winning in the city of Philadelphia. What do we mean to him to win in the city of Philadelphia in front of these fans?
That would mean a lot. I mean, it's been a minute since they won. So, you know, just going there and being that piece that's going to help them get over the hump would mean a lot to me, would mean a lot to the fans, the owners, all of that. So, you know, I'm excited to go there and see what we can do.
All right, well, I hope you do. I hope you come here, and I hope you help this team win. Look, if you're talking about a maturity factor, and here's one of the things I just didn't understand about the people, and I'm a defender of Ace Bailey. I still wanted him, but this is what I don't like. Talking about 18, 19-year-old kids. They're all 18, 19-year-old young men, okay? Of course he's immature. He's 18. Oh, VJ Edgecombe, listening to him talk last night, you know, looking into his background and all that, yeah, he's a very mature 19-year-old. Very mature. So all these guys are being evaluated on the idea that they're 18 or 19 years old. There's no 40-year-old in this draft that has like a wife and 3 kids and has worked a full-time job or anything like that. Like, there's nobody like that in this draft. So there are people that are wise beyond their years. I like to call them just good people. And VJ Edgecombe is certainly one of those guys. And didn't let anybody else influence him on a business side of things. Just wanted to play basketball. And I'll use the phrase, kept the main thing. And that really helped keep him in a top 3 scenario to be taken in the NBA draft, especially with the Sixers drafting at number 3 with a GM that is not safe in his job. If he would have went to Washington, if Ace Bailey would have went to Washington, I'm like, all right, good for you, whatever. If Utah is the one that bothers me because it's Danny Ainge. The other one would have been the Brooklyn Nets. If he would have ended up with the Brooklyn Nets, that would have bothered me because he's right there to just, first off, he would have went to an East Coast team like he wanted. And then he also would have had the opportunity to take it to the Sixers for years to come. So that would have been a good time. That would have been terrible, actually. So all that. Also, I didn't think there was a world that existed where Con Knippel would go before Trey Johnson, but here we are. That was pretty wild last night, just on an outside thing from the Sixers. So I'm not, unfortunately, blown away by what went down last night with the 76ers. They did what actually I thought they would do. When Keith Pompey and I closed the show yesterday for Locked On 76ers, I just said, all right, Keith, give me your prediction, and then give me your desire. We both predicted VJ Edgecombe is taken by the 76ers. Both of us, our desire was that they would take Ace Bailey. Ace Bailey, to me, would signify not only getting the player that's going to have the best NBA career, which is what's most important, but it would also signify to me that the Sixers are building forward and not trying to get, blood from a stone? That's what this one feels like. So, hey, good luck. Welcome to Philadelphia, VJ Edgecombe. Hope you enjoy fine restaurants. Hope you really enjoy Tyrese Maxey. You two can talk about Texas together. Yay. If it wasn't Ace Bailey, I would have rather seen the Sixers trade down, get Trey Johnson, and get an asset for next year. That's what I would have rather seen the Sixers do. But no, here we are. And that's also something that was not going to happen with Daryl Morey. If Daryl Morey doesn't feel safe in his job, he's not trading back in the draft to then get a pick for the next GM after this team fails. That ain't happening. Right. Let's get into... Oh, look at that. Excuse me 1 minute. Delicious. For the people on the podcast, I need a little sip of the espresso after that. No, there's no Sambuca or cognac in it. Not yet. But, all right. Your Philadelphia Phillies. Our Philadelphia Phillies. I understand that in baseball, sometimes it's just gone. I used to love Ryan Howard had a great question. He used to call He's called first base talk. When a player get a hit, walk, whatever, be on first base, and he would just have a conversation point. He'd just bring it up with him. And oftentimes that conversation piece, that bullet point, that topic was, hey, so when you're really, really hot, right? And then it just goes away. Where does it go? Then he would have conversations with these, veteran big leaguers about that a lot at first base. And right now, the Phillies are wondering where the hell it went. You got 19 innings where they haven't scored a run. Just so happens in that time, their opponent, the Houston Astros, most of it, 18 of the 19 innings, the Houston Astros have scored a total of 3 runs. So we're talking about like one hit with a runner in scoring position that would be a big difference maker. We're talking about a 2-run single that would have got you a dub, potentially. Yeah, we're talking about something like that. But instead, the Phillies have left 16 men on base in this series through the first 2 games, and they have gone 1 for beep bop bop 12 with runners in scoring position. That ain't great. That's pretty terrible. So now they're in this lull, and I also try to wrap my mind around it where you think about the Yankees a couple of weeks ago. They just went through a period with that lineup. They just went through a period of not scoring a run for 3 games, and one of those games was an 11-inning game. No runs, 1-0, they lose. So this happens in baseball. But when it's the Phillies, it hits different because this is our fear. Ultimately, this is our fear with this baseball team. You look around and you go, look, you got Nick Castellanos, you got Kyle Schwarber, you got Trey Turner. This team, Alec Boehm has been hitting the cover of the ball. You're going to be great. JT Realmuto, you're going to be fine. You brought up a slugger from the minors and Otto Kemp. They'll help you out, I don't know anyone that's saying that, but still. Anyway, all of that, other than the Otto Kemp. All of it. You look around and you go, this team's going to be good. Score runs. Nope. They go through these lulls. They have these periods where they're like, oh, my God, this team's incredible. And then, oh, they're terrible. And the Houston Astros are a good baseball team. No question about that. This isn't like losing to the Marlins. This isn't anything like that. This isn't losing to the Rockies or anything like that. This is a good baseball team that you're playing on the road. And for the Phillies bats to go this quiet over the last 19 innings is exactly why we have the trust issues, where you can get great starting pitching, as you've gotten each of the last 2 games here, and the Phillies bats waste it. Ranger Suarez, an absolute gem of a performance. Wasted. Congratulations on your ERA getting a little lower. Other than that, wasted. Zach Wheeler, he reminded me a lot of Valdez from the previous night for the Astros, and that the first couple of innings, you're like, are you all right, dude? You going to be okay? And it wasn't even like he was getting shelled. It was just high pitch count. And I don't want the bullpen coming in any earlier than they have to, and I want Zach Wheeler pitching as long as humanly possible. First couple of innings where he had 26 pitches and 21 pitches in those first 2 innings, that's very Zach Wheeler-like. The 1 run that he allowed, you know what, I should check. I don't think they changed it, but I was hoping they changed it to an error so it wouldn't affect his ERA at all, but I believe it did stay as a RBI single, and the run got charged to your boy. Yep, still an earned run for Zach Wheeler. Went under Trey Turner's mitt, and that was the first run of the ball game. And that was the only run of the ball game up until the 8th inning when they tacked on another one off Matt Strahm. But before that, Wheeler really settled in nicely. 6 innings, 1 run, 4 hits, 3 walks. You never like with Zach Wheeler, but it happens. And the Phillies bat's not at all there to pick him up. And that's got to be a lonely feeling for a pitcher. Then you also look at the idea of Philadelphia Phillies stepping in there with this lineup in the 5th inning and the 8th inning. And these are the ones that really grinded my gears. In the 5th inning of last night's game, Bryson Stott leads off with a single. First off, Bryson Stott smoked one to right center field in the 7th inning that I thought that was either leaving the park or it was a double with 1 out, and it wasn't. It was just a long fly ball. He ripped it just in the wrong spot. But anyway, go after the 5th inning. Stott leads off with a single, so you got a runner on base. Let's go. Let's party. Edmundo Sosa is starting to swing a hot bat. Not this time. Flies out to center field. Otto Kemp comes up there. He gets a base knock. You got first and second with 1 out. Something's brewing for the Phillies. Brandon Marsh goes down swinging. Brandon Marsh goes down looking at a sinker at the knees. Freezes him. A 1-2 sinker. Then Trey Turner comes up and hacks Chases at a pitch in the dirt. And that's how that one goes down. That's how that inning ends. Plate discipline. Still not a thing for your Philadelphia Phillies. Then in the 8th inning, this is the one that really gets to you. You have a 1-out base knock from Brandon Marsh. Trey Turner comes up. He gets a single to center field. Now, what was amazing about this? Well, Brandon Marsh, I know, is fast. I know he can run really well. But he, teleported to third base. I was shocked that he got there, but he got there. So now you got first and third with 1 out. Kyle Schwarber gets now runner on third base. Brandon Marsh, again, fast as hell. There is a bouncer, a high bouncer, hit to Walker at first base for the Astros off the bat of Kyle Schwarber. I thought, when I saw that ball bounce, I went, Brandon Marsh is scoring. When I saw it bounce and saw Walker have to leap up to the sky and get that baseball to corral it, I went, run's going to score. Hey, all right, tie ball game. There you go. And no, Brandon Marsh stayed at third base. He stayed at third base. Walker then tried to turn 2. He looked to turn 2, couldn't do it. Schwarber beats him to the bag. Now you got the bases loaded with 1 out, and you got Alec Boehm stepping up to the plate. Alec Boehm immediately goes down to the count 0-2, and you're like, seriously, this is where we're at. Damn it! He then works an 8-pitch at bat with 3 foul balls, gets a 2-2 count. He's facing King. King puts a fastball about a foot outside, and Alec Boehm swings and misses at it for strike 3. Sit down, Alec Boehm. Everything was great up until that moment. I guess that's just where you get the. That's where you get the. You guess wrong, I assume, and you guess wrong. You got the fastball just out a foot outside. Nick Castellanos comes up next. Nick Castellanos all night looked like he was trying to hit a 5-run home run and put everything back on track himself when it comes to the team's entire offense. We have talked about Nick Castellanos being wildly aggressive at the plate. That's what he is. Last night, I don't know what would be an upgrade over wildly aggressive. Wildly over-aggressive? Trying too hard? I don't know. Whatever it would be, he was trying to hit the ball out of the stadium. As a matter of fact, Caterini, the home run he hit off Matt Strahm in the bottom of the 8th inning, that was 430 feet. That was the home run that Nick Castellanos was trying to hit in just about every one of his at-bats last night, but in particular, this 8th inning. Anyway, he goes down a little ground out to shortstop, and that was that. A bases loaded, 1-out jam that they put the Astros in, and the Astros get out of it. Strahm gives up the home run, actually 423 feet it was last night, still crushed. And that's it. Oh, Jordan Romano pitched last night. He looked pretty good again. Awful run right now with the Phils. And we're just sitting in it, unfortunately, and we have to bask in it, unfortunately. Christopher Sanchez gets the start today. This is also, this one has a lot of potential to not be a fun one, ladies and gentlemen. It's a 2:10 start time, so at least we won't be up too late. Hunter Brown gets the start. He's only 8-3 with a 1.88 ERA. That's fun. Christopher Sanchez gets the ball for the Philadelphia Phillies, hoping to avoid being the latest victim of the Phillies' inept offense. Hunter Brown, by the way, leading all of baseball with that ERA. So, yeah, he's pretty good. Just what you want to see. A Phillies struggling offense face. Today they're going to win 15-2 because baseball's weird. Anyway, that's what we're looking at tonight, or this afternoon, I should say, with the Phillies. Hey, let me tell you about the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code FARS to get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. Want to go to the game, the concert, the comedy show? Game Time app has you covered. So if you want to go to the Game Concert Comedy Show, download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code FARSY, get $20 off your first purchase, and don't forget about the Game Time Picks feature. Game Time Picks feature is absolutely fantastic. It filters out all the fluff so you get right down to it. The best seats, the best prices with the Game Time app. So once again, create an account, use promo code FARSY on the Game Time app, get $20 off your first purchase. How about PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's PHLSportsNation.com. T-Bro, this is why I was cracking up. Thank you for this. Casty went wildly aggressive to ludicrous speed aggressive. Ludicrous speed. Love it. April, good morning. All right, let's go up to the top here. We're talking about the draft. Sean Gillespie, hello. Jason A, good morning. Maury is ridiculous, but VJ doesn't seem too bad, though. No, he doesn't seem too bad. He's just not, I believe, the player that'll have the best possible NBA career. And I believe that is Ace Bailey. Timpo, 717, love the kid, like the player. But they drafted a guy with the ceiling of a really good role. There we go. Thank you. Third overall. You and I on the same page. Danny Prado, what's going on? James Jones, Farsi, my boy Jaden Daniels gaining a lot of weight. I love it. Smile, baby. Yeah, no thanks. But good for your boy. Base case scenario, VJ is a shorter Iggy. Or best case scenario, VJ is a shorter Iggy. Yeah, I think that'd be good. That'd be a good analogy. Oladipo could play the point. VJ is a two-guard only. Yes, that is true. But in terms of the development of his offensive game, I think that's where you have a comparison. Does not have a handle on the point guard position. He doesn't play point. Keith Pompey was telling me a story about NBA scouts being at the game, and they had VJ run point, and it did not look good. Yeah, James Jones, at least the dude wants to be here, but I don't want that to be the base for a third overall pick. I hear you. Who cares? Sixers fans. Tebow, as far as you think Grimes is gone, how are they going to get enough minutes for four guys who are 6'5" and smaller? This is something we did talk about on 76ers podcast, Locked on 76ers. This hurts the odds of keeping Quentin Grimes, but drastically. Grimes become the Eric Gordon role? I don't know. Maury is such a fraud. Kind of feels like it. Sean Kilrain, hey, buddy. Sean Gillespie, Sixers really didn't have a choice but to play safe. No sane team wants Embiid now or playoff P. Yeah, that's why I wanted to take Ace Bailey and start turning that page. VJ Edgecombe does not turn that page for me. Sean Kilrain, someone who's going to play for the city, someone who's going to play for the organization, someone who's going to put himself last, just going out there, doing what I have to do to win. And I love that mentality. I just wish that the talent behind the mentality was better. VJ, look, he talked about his defense in the pre-draft media night. I'm happy for him. Most seconds. Okay, that's not. Yeah, Chris Sober, how about that? Archbishop Ryan, Catholic League kid. Great. He goes to the reigning champs. I saw that. That's great. Jeremy Skyver, good morning. I've gotten a good, close comedy of the last two nights, unfortunately. Good dose of comedy the last two nights, unfortunately. Haven't we all? And I ain't laughing. Philly Magic 365. Philly's playing like they hate Thompson. Back to managing for his job. Sean Kilrain, karma is a bitch. Hit Ace's agent hard. He got him drafted by a team that he didn't want to go to the Jazz. I know. Dank Bird Gang, your Blazers took some dude from China. I think it was Sham Sharani that put it out there. Ooh, and the first surprise of the night. Thanks, everybody in the chat. Hey, look, I'll be breaking more of this down on Fox 29 coming up a little bit later today, 7:45. Breaking it more down on Locked On 76ers today. Also going to be on Locked On Eagle Squad podcast at noon today. And then you guys got me for your Locked On Phillies postcast today. So look forward to that. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Be back with you guys later today. Have a great rest of your day.